Everything you call coincidence is the universe speaking in code. That's not just an eerie, cryptic message, it's the undeniable truth. You know it because you have felt it possibly your entire life. There is simply no running from it anymore, so don't even bother. You see, this is why you are here today. The little voice inside of you is seeking out the mystery that you have felt possibly your whole life. So sit back, relax, and stick with me until the end, because you're going to learn it all today, because by the end, you'll hear the universe speak back to your soul. Look closely at the moments you've dismissed as random. The phone call that came just as you thought of someone. The song that answered a question you never spoke aloud. The dream that felt too vivid to be meaningless. These are not accidents, they are responses. Life is not a cold machine running on probability. It's a mirror fluid, alive, intelligent. It bends and reshapes itself according to the rhythm of your inner world. Your thoughts send out signals, your emotions carve invisible pathways, and reality listens and replies. What appears as chance is the reflection of consciousness meeting itself. Each feeling, each belief, is a seed that calls its likeness into form. If your heart vibrates in fear, the world will echo with things to be feared. If it beats in gratitude, the world will open itself in abundance. You are not a spectator of life, you are its silent architect. We were taught that cause and effect move in straight lines. But consciousness moves in spirals, unseen, responsive, non-linear. The universe is not reacting to your words. It is resonating with your state of being. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. Every random moment is a whisper, a reflection of your unseen dialogue with creation itself. And when you begin to listen, you realize that reality has never been random. It has always been personal. It has always been alive. It has always been responding to you. The universe doesn't shout, it arranges. Once you begin to see that life responds, you start to notice how precisely it does. Not through thunderous miracles, but through gentle alignments, the right person at the right time, the delay that becomes protection, the detour that leads you exactly where you needed to go. Carl Jung called this synchronicity a meeting point between inner meaning and outer event. It's when life stops being a series of accidents and starts becoming a conversation. Every coincidence holds a message, like a word in a language you're only beginning to remember. Neville Goddard called it the bridge of incidents, the invisible sequence that carries you from the feeling of your desire to its manifestation. Between the moment you imagine and the moment it appears in your world, a bridge forms event after event, each one perfectly timed, perfectly shaped. You are guided not by logic, but by resonance. This is not magic, it's precision. Reality is an intelligent field that rearranges itself according to the tone of your consciousness. Change the tone, and the song of life changes with it. The faces you meet, the doors that open, the numbers you keep seeing, they are all part of this orchestration. What you call luck is simply the universe matching your frequency. When your inner and outer worlds harmonize, synchronicity becomes the normal language of life. You don't chase outcomes anymore, they emerge to meet you. And as you begin to trust this bridge, you realize something profound. Every moment is connected, every step divinely sequenced. Nothing has ever been wasted. Reality doesn't happen to you, it happens through you. The bridge of incidents is not built by chance, it is woven by consciousness. What you call the world is not outside you. It is the visible echo of your invisible mind. Every thought you think ripples through an ocean that connects everything. Every emotion vibrates beyond your body, sending silent commands to matter itself. Quantum physics calls it the observer effect. The experiment changes when you watch it. But the mystics knew this long before the microscope. Awareness creates form. Attention is creation. You are the observer, and the observed the dreamer and the dream. What you look at begins to look back. Your reality is a reflection of your most persistent assumption about who you are and what life is. You can prove this in silence. Change how you feel, and watch what follows. Shift from fear to trust, and doors begin to open. Shift from scarcity to gratitude, and life multiplies what you thank it for. You are surrounded by proof of your own vibration. Every face, every delay, every blessing, they orbit around your state of consciousness like planets around a sun. There is no fixed reality, only fixed awareness. When awareness moves, reality bends. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the consciousness through which circumstance takes shape. The universe is not outside looking in. It is within you, looking out. And when you understand this, the idea of coincidence disappears. You become the cause behind every effect. The painter inside the painting, the mind dreaming itself into form. The universe speaks one language: emotion. Thoughts are the blueprints, but feeling is the fire that brings them to life. You can think of light all day, but until you strike the match of emotion, nothing ignites. Creation doesn't respond to words. It responds to the vibration beneath them. Every desire you hold has a frequency, a mood, a texture, a pulse. To manifest it, you must become it. Not by chasing, not by begging, but by feeling it real within yourself. Neville Goddard called it the feeling of the wish fulfilled. When you inhabit the emotion of what you want as though it were already here, the universe mirrors it back through form, people, events, and perfect timing. Feeling is the divine technology of creation. It's how infinite consciousness turns imagination into experience. You've done it unknowingly all your life. When you feared loss, loss appeared. When you felt unloved, people withdrew. And when you felt whole, the world rushed to confirm your wholeness. You are not punished by emotion, you are instructed by it. Every feeling is a command issued to the quantum field. So, begin to feel deliberately. Don't wait for the world to give you a reason. Be the reason. Feel peace before the storm clears. Feel abundance before the bank changes. Feel love before it knocks on your door. For it is not the feeling that follows reality, it is reality that follows feeling. The heart is the true engine of manifestation. The mind designs, the heart delivers. And when both beat in harmony, the universe rushes to obey. When you start listening, life stops whispering. It begins to sing. Every thought you feel deeply sends ripples through the field of existence. And those ripples return to you not as words, but as symbols, the language of the universe. You see a certain number over and over again. A stranger says a phrase that echoes a private prayer. An animal crosses your path the moment you're lost in thought about something greater. To the ordinary eye, it's random, but to the awakened one, it's a reply. This is how creation speaks, through patterns and repetition, through mirrors and metaphors. Reality doesn't use grammar or punctuation. It speaks in rhythm and resonance. Dreams, déjà vu, the tug of intuition, even the timing of a breeze across your face. These are letters written in light, sent from the unseen to the seen. When you begin to recognize them, a dialogue unfolds. You realize you are not walking alone through chaos. You are being guided through meaning. Every coincidence is a breadcrumb, leading you deeper into alignment with your own creation. The more present you are, the louder the signs become. It's not that the universe suddenly starts speaking, it's that you finally start hearing. For signs are not sent to convince you, they are reflections of your faith already in motion. Each one says, you are on the path, keep feeling, keep trusting. The universe is alive and attentive. It rearranges stars and seconds to reach you. And once you learn its language, you never again doubt that you are seen, guided, and deeply, mysteriously loved. You don't see the world as it is, you see it as you are. Everything around you is a reflection, not a random projection of fate, but a living mirror of your internal condition. The world is not happening to you, it is happening through you. When your mind is restless, the outer world seems chaotic. When your heart is heavy, even beauty feels distant. But when you are grounded in peace, the same reality becomes luminous, colors appear richer, timing flows smoother, and people mirror back kindness you never noticed before. Nothing outside has changed. Only the lens of your consciousness has shifted. This is the secret mystics and sages whispered for centuries. The outer world is your inner movie, a projection of thoughts, beliefs, and emotions woven into the fabric of time. Your circumstances are not your captors, they are your teachers, revealing the energy you carry. Notice how patterns repeat the same arguments, the same disappointments, the same dreams deferred. They are not curses, they are invitations. They say, heal this within and the world will follow. When you change your inner dialogue, your outer reality cannot resist reconfiguring itself. For matter is not solid, it's obedient. It bends to consciousness like clay in the hands of a sculptor. Shift the vibration, and the entire scene rearranges. The world is your echo. It whispers your beliefs back to you until you recognize yourself in everything you see. Then, something miraculous happens. You stop trying to control the reflection and start transforming the source. This is how awakening begins. Not by escaping reality, but by realizing that reality is you, dreaming itself into form. Nothing is connected by chance, only by meaning. Imagine for a moment that every event in your life, every meeting, delay, symbol, or surprise, is part of a hidden design. Not a design ruled by mechanical cause and effect, but by resonance. Meaning itself is the thread that weaves the fabric of reality. This is what Carl Jung called the acausal connecting principle, a truth that transcends logic and probability. It suggests that two events may not cause each other, yet they converge because they share a symbolic purpose. Think of it like an invisible web of vibration and intention. Your thoughts pulse out into the field, and the universe responds by arranging outer moments that harmonize with your inner state. The connection isn't linear, it's symphonic. Everything plays together in unseen rhythm. You dream of a white bird the next morning, a feather lands on your doorstep. You think of a lost friend, and suddenly, they call. These are not accidents, they are echoes across the cosmic net, each strand vibrating with significance. This web extends far beyond human perception. It links psyche and matter, emotion and event, dream and destiny. It is the bridge between your inner myth and the world's unfolding story. To recognize it is to awaken from the illusion of randomness and glimpse the architecture of divine order. When you start to notice how meaning dances through coincidence, you no longer ask, "Why did this happen to me?" Instead, you whisper, "What is this trying to show me?" The shift is profound, from resistance to revelation, from confusion to communication. For meaning is the hidden gravity of the universe. It pulls all things into connection. And once you sense this invisible web, you begin to live differently. You listen more. You rush less. You trust the timing, even when it makes no sense. Because you start to know that behind every event, no matter how small, the infinite is speaking. Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. Albert Einstein. You think of someone, and they call. You dream of water, and the next day it rains. You glance at the clock, 11:11 again. At first, you shrug it off as coincidence. But then it happens again, and again, until coincidence begins to feel like conversation. This is synchronicity, the language the universe uses when words fall short. It doesn't speak through logic, but through timing, reflection, and resonance. It arranges the outer world to echo your inner one. Carl Jung saw it as a bridge between mind and matter, a place where psychology meets physics and spirit meets experience. Synchronicity tells you, you are not imagining the connection, you are the connection. It's the universe answering not your words, but your vibration. Each synchronistic moment is like a cosmic mirror, revealing what your soul is trying to show you. They are not messages from out there. They are reflections from within. When you see repeating numbers, recurring symbols, or familiar patterns, don't rush to interpret them with logic, feel them. Ask, what part of me is this mirroring right now? Synchronicities appear most vividly when you are aligned. When thought, emotion, and intention move as one. It's as if reality itself bends to acknowledge your coherence. You step into flow, and the universe begins to nod back. This is why the ancients called the world a mirror, and mystics called it a dream. Not because it's unreal, but because it's responsive, alive with intelligence, whispering in signs, guiding through patterns, teaching through reflections. The more aware you become, the clearer the dialogue gets. You stop dismissing moments as random and start seeing them as sacred choreography. Each symbol, each encounter, each perfectly timed accident becomes a note in the music of meaning. And when you finally learn to listen, you realize you were never walking alone. The universe has been speaking all along, in the language of synchronicity. You were taught that you live inside the universe. But what if the universe lives inside you? What if perception doesn't observe reality but creates it? Every moment, Your consciousness collapses infinite possibilities into one experience. Like a lens shaping light, your awareness sculpts reality into form. This isn't metaphor, it's the architecture of existence. The mystics called it Maya, the scientists call it the observer effect, and the poets call it the dream of God. Different words for the same revelation. Reality is not fixed, it's relational. A mirror that changes shape each time you look into it. What you believe, you begin to perceive. What you perceive, you begin to experience. And what you experience, you begin to call real. But beneath it all, it's only consciousness folding back on itself, a hall of mirrors, endlessly reflecting awareness. This is why fear manifests monsters, and love manifests miracles. The energy you broadcast becomes the world you walk through. You're not just in the movie, you're also the projector, the screen, and the light. The ancients understood this long before physics caught up. Hermetic wisdom said, "As within, so without. As above, so below." It wasn't poetry. It was physics before language. You are the bridge between the infinite and the finite. The cosmos bends according to your state of being. When you shift your frequency, you shift timelines. When you alter your belief, you alter your world. Nothing changes out there until something changes in here. And that's the great secret hidden in plain sight. Reality doesn't respond to your thoughts. It responds to the vibration behind them. The frequency you hold determines the version of reality you experience. This is psychic relativity, not just that reality is relative to the observer, but that consciousness is the observer, and therefore the author. Every feeling, every thought, every act of imagination is a brushstroke on the canvas of existence. The more coherent your mind and heart become, the clearer the picture gets. You don't need to change reality, you need to tune to the one you wish to experience. And when you do, the universe rearranges itself to match your frequency, effortlessly, elegantly, precisely. You were never a passive witness. You were and always have been the center of the equation. Everything from the spiral of a galaxy to the swirl in your fingerprint moves to the same divine rhythm. It's all a repetition of one pattern, consciousness observing itself. When you look through a microscope, you see miniature universes. When you gaze through a telescope, you see vast reflections of your inner world. Both are mirrors, different scales of the same intelligence. The ancients didn't need equations to know this. They saw it in seashells, in storms, in the rhythm of breath. They called it the sacred geometry of creation. Every thought, emotion, and intention you emit creates a ripple, a smaller version of the cosmic pattern. The universe is not built of matter, but of information repeating itself in infinite detail. Each cell in your body contains the memory of the stars. Each star vibrates with the same intelligence that beats your heart. You are not a separate entity, lost in a vast cosmos. You are the cosmos, folded inward to experience itself as you. Your consciousness is a fractal node in an infinite field, a drop that carries the entire ocean within it. When you understand this, spirituality stops being abstract. You begin to see the divine code running through everything. Pain and joy, chaos and order, rise and fall, all are part of the same self-organizing intelligence. And here's the secret most miss. Your patterns attract matching patterns. If your inner world vibrates in disorder, life mirrors that dissonance. But when you bring coherence, harmony between thought, emotion, and action, the fractal reorganizes. Reality itself begins to bloom around you like sacred geometry made visible. This is why healing yourself heals more than just you. When you change a single pattern within, you send a frequency correction across the entire web. Your shift becomes the universe's shift. A micro miracle ripples into macro creation. Look closely, the signs are everywhere. The structure of your lungs resembles the branches of trees. The veins of rivers mimic your bloodstream. The neural pathways in your brain look like galaxies spreading across space. It's not coincidence, it's coherence. The same intelligence pulses through all forms, playing infinite roles, wearing infinite masks, yet never losing its center. And that center, that still point between patterns, is you. When you breathe consciously, you align with that rhythm. When you observe without resistance, you merge with it. When you act from love instead of fear, you amplify it. And the more you recognize the pattern, the more gracefully you dance with it. This is the sacred revelation. You were never meant to dominate life, but to resonate with it. To become aware of the fractal is to remember that separation was always an illusion. You are the echo of eternity, the repetition of the divine design, the infinite reflected in a single heartbeat. Everything you experience out there is the reflection of something in here. The world is not attacking you, rewarding you, or testing you. It is mirroring you. Every face you meet, every situation you resist, every emotion that rises, is the universe holding up a mirror, asking, "Can you see yourself yet?" This is the mirror dimension, the law of reflection woven into the fabric of existence. You cannot escape it because it's not punishment, it's guidance. When you judge someone, you're really seeing a rejected fragment of yourself. When you envy another's success, you're being shown the part of you that forgot it can create. When you're hurt by another's coldness, you're being asked to meet the places within you, still yearning for warmth. The universe has only one teaching method: reflection. It doesn't lecture, it mirrors. That's why the same lesson keeps repeating until the observer within finally understands the message behind the mirror. Every argument, every heartbreak, every betrayal isn't happening to you, it's happening for your evolution. Asterisk. Life is a mirror maze, and each reflection is an invitation to integration. The people you attract are your greatest teachers. The emotions they trigger are keys to the doors you've kept locked. Your reactions are not random, they are the reflection of your resonance. That's how the universe communicates, not through words but through energy translated into experience. The mirror doesn't lie, but it also doesn't condemn. It simply shows you what you believe, what you fear, and what you still need to love. The hardest truth to accept is this: the outer world cannot show you peace until you become peace within. You cannot see beauty in another until you've recognized it in yourself. You cannot find forgiveness outside until you forgive the reflection staring back at you. When you shift your inner frequency, the mirror shifts too. The same people may still be there, but suddenly, the movie changes. Because your perception, your vibration has changed. And remember, the mirror doesn't create, it reflects. Once you realize this, blame dissolves. Resentment loses power. And you begin to walk through life with gentle awareness, asking not, "Why is this happening to me?" but "What is this showing me about myself?" In that moment, you stop being a victim of reflection and become a conscious creator within it. You see that the shadow the world reflects isn't darkness to fear, it's the unintegrated light you've yet to claim. So the next time life feels cruel, chaotic, or unfair, pause, look deeper. That isn't rejection, it's revelation. The mirror is showing you your next step toward wholeness. When you finally embrace what you once resisted, the mirror softens, the storm quiets. The world begins to reflect your healing back to you. Kindness, peace, synchronicity. And that's when you realize you were never fighting the world. You were fighting your own reflection. Now you can look in the mirror and say, not "Why me?" but "Thank you." The universe speaks in opposites. Every truth hides within its reverse. Light cannot exist without shadow, life cannot be known without death, and love cannot be realized without its seeming opposite fear. Duality isn't a flaw in the system. It's the system itself, the divine tension that makes consciousness aware of itself. You were born into polarity to remember balance. To experience good, you had to know evil. To value peace, you had to taste chaos. To understand love, you had to confront the absence of it. But here's where most get trapped. They start to worship one pole and reject the other. They chase light and condemn darkness, seek joy and suppress pain, pray for heaven and fear hell, never realizing that both are two faces of the same infinite energy. The wise don't choose sides, they transcend the fight. They see the paradox and bow to it. They know that the river of life flows between both banks, and to deny one is to stop the flow entirely. Awakening isn't about becoming perfectly positive. It's about becoming whole. It's about holding both sides of existence in your heart and realizing they were never enemies, only dance partners. Look around. Every atom vibrates through polarity. Positive and negative charges, night and day, birth and decay. It's all rhythm, not rivalry. Even the breath you take is a paradox. Inhalation gives life, exhalation releases it, and yet, without both, there is no existence. That is the silent teaching of the cosmos. Balance is not found by clinging, but by allowing. The more you fight your darkness, the stronger it becomes. The more you fear death, the more tightly you grip life. But when you stop resisting the opposites, when you sit in the center of the seesaw, you discover peace that surpasses understanding. It's in the still point between inhalation and exhalation, between thought and silence, between being and becoming. That's where awakening lives. Non-duality doesn't destroy polarity. It redeems it. It shows you that both sides were illusions of the same truth, that the one became two, only so it could remember itself again. So, when life shows you contradiction, don't rush to fix it. Sit with it. Let it stretch your mind until it breaks. Because on the other side of that breaking is awakening. In paradox, the mind fails, and when the mind fails, awareness begins. You see that suffering and joy, sin and virtue, God and devil were never separate entities, but reflections of consciousness trying to know itself. The Buddha smiled not because he escaped the world, but because he saw through it. Christ forgave not because he was superhuman, but because he understood unity beneath betrayal. When you awaken through paradox, you stop seeking one half of existence and start loving the whole. You see that the darkness was your teacher, the pain was your guide, and the fall was your rising in disguise. You no longer ask, "Why did this happen?" but whisper, "Of course." Because everything, every contradiction, every heartbreak, every miracle was the universe remembering itself through the paradox of you. In the beginning, there was only awareness, pure, boundless, eternal. No you, no me, no separation, no form. Just infinite being basking in its own stillness. But eternity, left alone, longed to experience itself. And to experience, it needed contrast, something to push against, something to discover. So, the infinite became the finite. The one fractured into countless reflections, each one a soul, each one a spark of the original fire. You, me, every being that ever lived. But to play the game of discovery, you had to forget who you were. Because knowing ruins the story. There can be no adventure if you remember the ending. So consciousness hid itself inside its own creation. It became matter, time, memory, and flesh. It wrapped itself in identities, in names, histories, and fears, so that one day, through struggle and longing, it could awaken and whisper, "Oh, it was me all along." This is the sacred game of forgetting. Not a curse, a choice. The divine pretending to be lost, so that it can rediscover itself as found. Every lifetime, every heartbreak, every rebirth is another round of cosmic hide-and-seek. The soul dives deep into density, gathering experience like pearls of wisdom to bring back to the source. The amnesia is part of the design. Without it, you couldn't know the ecstasy of remembering. Without illusion, truth would have no taste. Without the fall, there would be no flight. The soul doesn't see tragedy where the human sees pain. It sees artistry, the sculpting of consciousness through limitation. It knows that even forgetting God is an act of God. And so you, a divine being, entered this play. You agreed to forget your wings so that someday you could earn them again and know what it feels like to fly. That's why awakening feels like both remembering and coming home. Because it is. You are the universe reuniting with itself. Each realization, each heartbreak, each act of love restores another fragment of memory to the whole. And as you awaken, you start to see everyone else is remembering too. Every soul you meet is another mirror, reflecting the same divine amnesia, the same yearning to return. When you look into another's eyes and feel that flicker of recognition, that's eternity remembering itself through you both. And when you finally whisper, "I remember," the universe exhales in relief. Because another piece of itself has come home. This is the secret of awakening. It was never about becoming divine, it was about remembering you never stopped being divine. So the next time you feel lost, don't despair. You're right where your soul wanted you to be, in the middle of the mystery, playing the most sacred game ever designed, the game of forgetting. Awakening is not about escaping the darkness, it's about embracing it. It's not about being only light, but about becoming whole. When you remember your divine nature, the first thing you notice is everything you once denied. The pain, the anger, the fear, the shame. All the fragments of self you buried when you believed you were something less than infinite. They don't disappear with enlightenment, they return. Because now you are strong enough to love them. This is the reunion, the sacred merging of the shadow and the light. The understanding that both were never enemies, but aspects of the same consciousness trying to find its way home. The shadow is not evil. It's unseen. It's the part of you waiting to be acknowledged, the wound longing to be witnessed, the pain asking to be held without judgment. And when you bring the light of awareness to what you once rejected, it dissolves not by force, but by love. Every healed emotion, every forgiven moment, becomes a bridge back to your center. You stop dividing yourself into spiritual and human, divine and flawed. You realize that both live in the same temple, your heart. Integration is messy. It's crying at 2 and still whispering, "Thank you." It's forgiving the people who broke you because you finally see they were reflecting your forgotten lessons. It's standing in your pain without trying to fix it and watching it alchemize into peace. This is how light truly expands, not by rejecting the dark, but by embracing it until it too becomes luminous. The mystics knew this. They danced with their demons, they kissed their fears, they turned every scar into sacred art. Because they understood that the wound is where the light enters and expands. You can't ascend by avoidance. You rise by integration. You don't transcend the human, you make it divine by remembering what animates it. When the shadow is integrated, it stops sabotaging you. When the pain is seen, it stops screaming for attention. When the self is accepted, the war within finally ends. And in that peace, something extraordinary happens. The divine and the human fuse. You begin to live as consciousness in motion, grounded, compassionate, powerful, free. You stop searching for heaven out there, because you've realized it was always meant to be built in here. This is the true reunion, not between you and God, but between the pieces of you that forgot they were never apart. The return to wholeness isn't loud or dramatic. It's subtle, soft, infinite, like dawn, quietly swallowing the night. When you reach this point, you don't glow because you've escaped the dark. You glow because you've learned to hold it with love, and that is what makes you divine. At the end of the journey, there is no enlightenment waiting to be handed to you. There is only remembrance, the soft, undeniable knowing that you were it all along. The universe you prayed to, the signs you searched for, the synchronicities that whispered guidance, they were reflections of your own consciousness, mirrors showing you your power in disguise. You are not a visitor in creation. You are its author, its dreamer, its heartbeat. Every thought is a brushstroke, every emotion a frequency-shaping form. You breathe galaxies into motion simply by being aware. The field responds to you because it is you, folded into infinite perspectives, playing hide-and-seek with its own light. To remember this is not arrogance, it is reverence. It is the moment the drop realizes it is the ocean, and yet still chooses to dance as a wave. Creation doesn't begin with effort, it begins with alignment. You don't force the universe to obey you, you tune yourself to the vibration of what you wish to live. And when your frequency matches your desire, the universe doesn't grant it, it simply reveals it. Every moment becomes sacred play. Every breath, a prayer in motion. You realize there was never separation between inner and outer, only reflection. The lover and the beloved, the creator and the creation, the seen and the unseen all dissolve into one shimmering awareness, I am. This is what the ancients meant when they said, "Know thyself, and thou shalt know the universe." It wasn't a metaphor, it was the map home. When you truly remember, you stop chasing signs and start becoming one. Your life itself turns into synchronicity. Every encounter, every challenge, every joy feels like a conversation between you and the infinite, because it is. You walk lightly. You create consciously. You love without fear because you see that everything you touch is another face of your own soul. The matrix of separation dissolves, and what remains is a living, breathing oneness, awake in human form. This is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of conscious creation. You are no longer reacting to life, you are composing it. You speak the language of energy. You think in light. You act in alignment. And when you close your eyes at night, the universe hums your frequency back to you, whispering through dreams, "Welcome home." you finally remembered, because the truth was never hidden, only forgotten. And in remembering, you become what you've always been, the creator, the witness, and the wonder itself.